Welcome to the Icon event space for 2026, where we're hosting our dialogue with Mayor Caroline Parrish and City Manager Jeff Wright. MBOT is pleased to host many events throughout the year. This event is especially important because it's our city's opportunity to hear from the mayor and the city manager, which can offer a candid, in-depth assessment of where the city is and where we are going. Before we start, we would like to acknowledge the lands which constitute the present-day City of Mississauga as being part of the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We recognize these people and their ancestors as people who inhabited these lands since time. I would like to start by saying a big thank you to our sponsors. Presenting partner, Toronto Pearson International Airport. Premier partner, Enbridge. Lead partners, CN, KMB, LLP, Electra, IG Wealth, Lakeview Village, and 407 ETR. We would also like to acknowledge our table sponsors, University of Toronto, Mississauga, Region Appeal, and Insurance Land. All of our sponsors are leading members of the Mississauga business community and have contributed greatly to economic prosperity that we enjoy today. This afternoon, we have some amazing guests in-house. So I'm going to ask that you hold your applause to the end because I'm going to list them all. Representing our sponsors at our head table, Deborah Flint, President and CEO of Toronto Pearson International Airport. Devon Smith, Senior Advisor, Municipal and Stakeholder Engagement, GTA West, Enbridge Gas. Brian Sutherland, Lakeview Village. Jane Armstrong, Chair, Board of Directors, Electra Utilities Corporation. Jonathan Borelli, past Chair of the Mississauga Board of Trade, I do have to note that, and partner at Kaiser Mason Ball, LLP. Derek Dell, Bell Booz, Regional Vice President, IG Wealth Management. Christina Basil, Vice President, Communications and Government Relations, 407 ETR. The fabulous interim CEO of Mississauga Board of Trade, Dave. And of course, our guest of honor, Her Worship, Mayor Caroline Parrish. Also joining us today, and again I will ask that you hold your applause to the end, Sharif Shabawe, Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Labour, Immigration, Training, Skills and Development, and MPP for Erin Mills. We have all of our City Council members here with us today. Stephen Dasco, Ward 1, Alvin Tejo, Ward 2, Chris Finesca, Ward 3, John Kovac, Ward 4, Natalie Hart, Ward 5, Joe Hornick, Ward 6, Matt Mahoney, Ward 8, Martin Reed, Ward 9, Sue McFadden, Ward 10, and Brad Butt, Ward 11. We'd also like to recognize the municipal commissioners who are here with us today. And we have several of our MBOT board members who have joined us. I would like to ask everyone that I've just called to please stand up so we can give you a round of applause. And now strategically, you know where they are in the room. So today's event, it provides us with the opportunity as the Board of Trade to hear from the community, to hear firsthand from our city leaders as we delve into so many important topics for the business community here in Mississauga. Now please join me in welcoming Deborah Flint, President and CEO of Toronto Pearson International Airport, our presenting sponsor, to say a few words officially and welcome our esteemed city leaders.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much. It is an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you for all that you do, Mississauga Board of Trade, the leadership and the team that makes it all happen, and then each one of you as members that are powering Mississauga forward. And we're thankful at Pearson to be part of ecosystem, a symbiotic ecosystem that tries to do that together. You know, recently I had the pleasure of being with Mayor Caroline Parrish as she literally starred at International Women's Day at Toronto Pearson, and I think it's still technically Women's History Month. So for all the women in the room and all the men that support women, it's good to be here. But the mayor just really starred in a room of many young women and also mature women that are continuing to evolve their careers and their lives' paths. And, you know, she was just a testament of, number one, showing her true sense of self, putting down the script, and she spoke from the heart, and it resonated in a way that was so powerful to people. It was a reflection of her vision as well as, you know, her courage, and it was just a really special moment. And I would say that that is a way that her leadership across Mississauga is amplified as well. And, you know, I do believe that Toronto Pearson and the great city of Mississauga are symbiotic in what it has done and the opportunities in front of us together. As this city is an economic powerhouse for Mississauga, for the region, with a big vision, also anchored by us. We're so proud that Toronto Pearson is in the city of Mississauga and is one of the top elite global connecting gateway airports around the world. And that is critical for the city, for the province, and for this country, especially at a time like today where speedy, fast, easy connectivity is currency to current and future economy. And so even with the challenges of 2025, as we sit here today, in the year 2025, we actually grew year over year, even though travel took different forms and travel changed from many of the typical destinations in the past decades or so. And we actually made a historic record of more than 200 routes out of Toronto Pearson. There are elite few global connecting hubs that have that level of connectivity, and it speaks to the model, this region, and our ambition for not just today, but for tomorrow. And in the world of air travel and economics, you know, being a competitive airport, driving high volume, having connecting traffic, those are all key ingredients to be able to have more travel choices for the city, the residents, whether you're flying for business, for leisure travel, or for visiting friends and relatives across the diaspora of the world. But it is also key ingredients towards having more affordable travel when, as we know, there are many injects that go into travel and its affordability. The good news is that there is demand for more travel, generally and including particularly out of Toronto Pearson. And so having demand and needing to meet demand and work on that is a very big problem to have. While we continue to grow, we know that there's demand for us to grow much, much bigger and to serve an even bigger role for this country and its connectivity to the world. So we're here to do that. And one of the prides for me in 2026 is that after over 3 years really of intense planning and working with you all that are in this room and many others, this is the year that we will finally take our LIFT program, our long-term investment in facilities and terminals, and for the first time we'll see several groundbreakings as projects that have been conceived, have been competed, procured, and contracted now come to life through the wonderful art of construction. So we couldn't be more proud of that. And as we look at the physical nature of what's being built, or the digital nature of all the copper and the fiber that we'll lay forth to create a digitally ambitious airport, we also know that LIFT is going to increase and change so much more than that. With over 7,000 residents of Mississauga that work at the airport, we know that there will be more of those people employed in the future through the growth of the airport. And there will also be more local businesses that participate with the airport. Over $1.7 billion was spent by GTA alone with Mississauga businesses last year. So that number will increase exponentially as our investments in our facilities and businesses and our programs continue to expand. As a matter of fact, in this time for Canada, every single one of our lift procurements require that our proposers compete by providing a Canadian economic impact statement, reflecting how we are going to see more jobs created, more knowledge transferred at all levels of participants, small, medium, local businesses, academic institutions that are supporting the knowledge and the workforces of the future. Those are incredibly important to us, and we're going to be seeing those. We know that those are catalysts for economic prosperity. So speaking of catalysts, it's my pleasure to do this introduction. As you all know, I believe very well, Mayor Parrish has been a lifelong advocate for many communities, many different parts of Mississauga. And with her long and distinguished career in public service, she stands for commitment to fairness, commitment to innovation, and improving the lives of residents. As mayor, she's delivering initiatives that make Mississauga a vibrant city that's responsive to the needs of its people, as well as the needs of the business community. And joining the mayor is City Manager and Chief Administration Officer, Jeff Wright. And with 19 years in leadership, formerly as the Commissioner of Transportation and Works, and before that as Director of Works, Operations and Maintenance, clearly Jeff is well positioned for this responsibility, which is vast and very deep across the operations and the administration of the city, and working with the mayor and the council to set policy and direction. And Jeff, I definitely thank you for what you do, and I think, you know, maybe you're a bit like mine, your phone rings 24/7. You must love what you do. Please join me to the Board of Trade this afternoon. Please join me in welcoming Her Worship, Mayor Caroline Parrish, and Jeff Wright to the stage.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. And all of you folks who came up to me earlier today to say, oh, you get so nervous doing public speaking, but you're so good at it, they're lying. And when they lie, it just makes me feel worse. Deborah was fabulous, and just loved her. And that event we did, the only reason I was any good, Deborah, was I threw the speech out the window, but don't tell Scott Laurie, who writes them for me. Thank you and good morning. I guess it's afternoon already. I want to thank the Mississauga Board of Trade for this invitation, despite the fact I really do not like giving speeches. I thank Deborah for the warm introduction. I'm so pleased with you and your team at the airport. You're putting us on the map. Your ambitious LIFT program, adding to airport infrastructure, is keeping Mississauga an international marvel, and that is an echo. I do badly enough without messing this up. Thank you for leading an incredible, expanding, mini Mississauga-based investment in Canada's prosperity. I love the opportunity to talk about Mississauga. That's how you get me up here. Like all of you, I'm committed to the city, to its future, and especially to its great promise. As you might have guessed from my many years serving the people of this amazing city, I am passionate about our hometown. Today, I'm eager to share what I believe sets us apart and makes Mississauga the best place in which to live, work, visit, and build. Everyone dreams of owning their own home in Mississauga, and we are doing our very best to make it easier for people to reach that goal. I don't think I'm giving away a secret. I'm meeting the Premier tomorrow in a far corner of Mississauga. I think there's a big HST announcement coming. And I think you're going to be very happy with that tomorrow for new home purchases. I've been laser focused on increasing the supply of housing. I'm rather obsessed about it, to bring down the price of owning and the cost of renting. Consulting with those who actually build in our city seemed to be the best way to increase housing stock and address affordability. I'd like to take a moment to thank all the developers in the room. They're usually the bad guys in everybody's books. They've worked diligently with me for the last 2 years to come up with a whole bunch of things that we could change here in Mississauga so that we are the top developers right now, the top housing producers in the province. Give them a hand. We introduced significant incentives to the ambitious partners on our housing task force, and it's encouraged them to invest in housing. Our Commissioner of Planning, Andrew Whittemore, tells me there are almost 12,000 units in process or under construction in Mississauga right now, and there are 20 cranes in our sky. Andrew is a bit of a character. Is he here today? Is there an Andrew in the... There he is. He walked into my office one morning and he said, I know you want to fix housing. I said, yes, I do. He says, what would you rather have? 50% of something or 100% of nothing? And I looked at him thinking he was maybe a little bit addled at the moment, but he was right. So we cut our DCs 50%, so we're getting 50% of something instead of 100% of nothing, which is the DC situation in many other municipalities. So thank you, Andrew. Give him a hand. In 2025, we issued building permits for almost 5,000 units. We are making it easier and faster for those who build our homes to break ground and get their developments underway despite the market upheaval all over the province and the country. We have almost 10,000 units under construction. 4,000 new units were completed by the end of 2025, and 2,000 units started. Council has approved close to 12,000 new units through official plan amendments and rezoning. Now, I could want to do this, and Andrew could want to do this, but without the Council of the City of Mississauga approving it, never would have been done. So thank you to my council colleagues. You've made this really easy. $5,700 units are currently going through site plan approval, and we're getting homes built quickly. To quote Gina Restivio of AstraZeneca, time is the new tax, and it needs to be reduced. Our long-term goal is to make housing more affordable, more accessible, and get the plans through the city as fast as we can. We have a new policy. It's called 3 strikes and you're in, and the province has adopted it. If you have ever put plans into the city, they come in, you get 21 things you have to fix. You put them back in, then it comes back with 65 things you have to fix. So we figured that wasn't the right thing to be doing. So now if it's a 3rd submission, you come in with your red pens, our guys are there with our red pens, and nobody leaves the room until it's fixed. And they're putting that into the new legislation going in. We owe these changes to the next generation. None of us want our kids, although one of mine has moved way the heck out of range that I can get to her. We want our kids to be able to live in Mississauga where they grew up. We don't want them to keep moving further and further out into Ontario and to other provinces. So it's really an obsession of mine to make sure Mississauga can build as much as they can, as fast as they can. There's another significant investment in Mississauga taking shape along here, Ontario. The Hazel-McCallion LRT will transform a critical artery through our city. Seems to be going very slowly, very slowly. The CEO of Metrolinx, Michael Lindsay, assured me his team is aiming for a completion date in 2028. But we've heard that before. But this guy seems to have it in hand because his mother lives in Mississauga and she asks him almost every day, when's it going to be finished? She can't get to her grocery store. The LRT will be a game changer for us, connecting people within the city and beyond. It's my hope it will give long-suffering businesses on here, Ontario, an economic boost. We are also seeking funding from the province for the first 3 years of the LRT, as they've done for Toronto and as they've done for Ottawa. That's a $65 million donation to our prosperity for 3 years running. Fingers crossed. I was thrilled to hear Premier Ford right here at MBOT say in no uncertain terms our city centre will be getting the downtown loop as part of the LRT. We've heard that before, But right now, it's actually in the design stages, and I hope on the 26th it'll be in the budget. This is a critical piece of infrastructure that will help Mississauga's downtown grow quickly. More than 36,000 people live in 58 towers called Downtown Mississauga Home today. That number is expected to increase to 90,000 people living in more than 100 towers. That's why we need the loop badly. The province's commitment made to this very board to the downtown loop will be essential in connecting people to the rest of Mississauga. Many members of the business community are very eager to see progress with GO service that is all day and two-way. Cooksville and Dixie GO stations are already major local transportation hubs. And we pester our MPPs on a fairly regular basis. As a matter of fact, all the controversy going on with Mr. Ford not giving out his phone records, I'm on there about 75 times. I call him on a fairly regular basis, and if he won't answer, I text him. Our local MPPs need to ensure Metrolinx establishes a clear plan to extend all-day two-way service on the Milton line. This long overdue service will accommodate rapid population growth along that line. Those are just some of the transit investments that are needed because transit is a magnet for talent. This year, Council adopted the 2026 budget without a single amendment. I heard Joe Hornick's here. Where are you? No Joe Hornick? He is the, there he is. Where? Stand up, Joe. This kid is a pain in the ass. He walks around mumbling under his breath, I gotta find something to cut, I gotta find something. And he didn't find a single penny. Thank you, Joe. The city's share of property tax bills was an increase of only 1.6% this year, lower than the current rate of inflation. Thank you, Joe, again. I wanted to give a shout out to our Chief Financial Officer, Marissa Chu, and Chief Administrative Officer, Jeff Wright, who you will meet shortly, and our whole city staff who reduced department budgets across the board by over 2%. We deferred some expenses, we cut budgets and increased revenue, leading to more than a $17 million savings. These excellent leaders share our vision. They give taxpayers a break when we present a budget in line with economic conditions. While addressing community priorities and keeping property taxes low, we continue to deliver more than 200 city programs and services. And we continue to build important infrastructure. And if you live in Mississauga, we managed to get rid of windrows at the end of your driveway this year and put little plows on your sidewalks. And I wish I had a little glass of water up here. Anybody got any water? How ill-prepared can I be? I should have brought one up with me.
I got you, Mayor.
Thank you, thank you. That's just an excuse to take a break. As part of the region of Peel, we work with Caledon and Brampton. I maintain a solid working relationship with Mayor Groves and Mayor Brown, but, and the region of Peel is sitting over here, block your ears, 59% of Peel's budget is shouldered by Mississauga. And you have to know now Brampton is bigger than us, so keep that in your mind. We're paying 59% and Brampton is not. For the first time in many years, Mississauga councillors made major cuts to Peel's proposed tax increase, cutting $27 million out of the budget. We can clap, that's a good one. Every time I need to catch a breath, I say something that makes you clap. We continue to be concerned about how much Mississauga has to pay within Peel. Last year, Queen's Park decided to reorganize responsibilities, and rightly so. Mississauga is paying $30 million a year to subsidize Caledon's regional roads. This is patently unfair to our residents and to our businesses. Regional roads were supposed to be downloaded July 1st, 2026, saving Mississauga that $30 million a year. Some roads do have speed bumps, however. And I think it's called the Deputy Premier up in Caledon, frankly. It's been delayed for 18 months before it happens. We're pressing Mr. Ford and his government to maintain the original transfer date. $30 million is a lot of money for us, and it's a lot of money for our businesses, which is even worse. Mississauga taxpayers also pay more than their fair share to support police services, especially compared to the taxpayers in Brampton. In 2025, we paid $94 million more than Brampton did when the police budget jumped by 23%. In 2026, we're overpaying by $103 million. Now, if you're in business, you can imagine what $103 million does to your budget. Despite Brampton having a larger population, this is patently unfair, and we're doing our best in Mississauga to try and fix this. I'm pushing our local MPPs again to reform this 50-year-old police funding formula. It must happen because it can't keep going on. Public safety is top of mind, but the cost for community safety needs to be shared fairly and equally by Mississauga and Brampton based on population numbers. It's unsustainable that Mississauga pays 62% of the policing bill based solely on property tax, while Brampton pays 38%. It's supposed to be a big number up there. Hey, that looks pretty cool, eh? In case you didn't already know this, because I've been harping on it for the last year. In 2025, Mississauga paid $472 million of the police bill. Try to remember the number. Brampton paid $289 million. And I don't want to say they have more crime because I don't know that, but they definitely have more people than we do. And people are the ones that commit the crimes and have the car accidents, not stationary buildings and the values of buildings. We are working with consultants to facilitate Mississauga launching its own police force and putting our police budgets under our control. That's being worked on right now. So we have offered, or we will be offering, two choices to Peel Regional Police Board. Put us on the OPP formula, which is based on people and level of crime, not buildings, or let us have our own police department. There are 40 cities in Ontario out of 444 that have their own police departments, most of which are smaller than we are. Along with our significant yearly investments in police, we are also investing in health. Now, I hear there's a model out in the lobby. I was proud to attend the groundbreaking for the Peter Gilgan Mississauga Hospital and the Shaw Family Hospital for Women and Children. This incredible structure will be the largest teaching hospital in Canadian history. This amazing new state-of-the-art facility will bring 2,400 healthcare workers and 400 more doctors to our community. Construction will create over 3,000 jobs and contribute $1 billion to the local economy. For the city's portion of $390 million, Council has asked the province to download regional roads and solid waste collection on time so that we can honor our promise to the hospital on time. Otherwise, we have to delay it. Investing in healthcare is an investment in people. Some of our people are struggling. Community food banks had a record-breaking 500,000 visits last year, the most in history. Since we officially declared food insecurity an emergency, the food bank continues to experience a shocking increase in demand. Contributions from all of us, individuals and corporations, make a difference and help thousands of our neighbors. Now I'm getting to the part I really wanted to tell you about. The rest of it was important, but this one's a killer. Partnerships and teamwork are what helped build our city. I'm also proud that we built in Malton a youth hub. It took 7 years to convince all the funding agents to assist with a share of funding and is now the greatest example of what a community center led by youth board of directors can be. I went to the 2 high schools and I said I want 10 students from each of these high schools. They are going to be the board of directors designing this youth hub. So everything that's in the youth hub is what they wanted, not what we thought they needed. They have over 3,800 kids now card-carrying members of the Malton Youth Hub. We're about to do a second one at Glen Forest. We're choosing areas where kids need to be in a safe place, need access to counseling. And in Malton, 200 kids a day come to school, no breakfast, no lunch. So we feed them out of the teaching kitchen. These are the investments in people, Mississauga's most diverse neighborhoods, and investments for the future. As a team, we continue to build on our successes. That's why I'm also appealing to your imaginations when it comes to our city core. I don't know if you've read about it, but we have some pretty ambitious vision going on in the city center. We can reimagine a city center that is the true, exciting, vibrant heart of a mature city. We are taking a fresh look at the Living Arts Center and the unusual and underused lands around it. This is only a concept right now, but the concept was approved by our council. Imagine a new performing arts center along the lines of a remodeled Massey Hall. The LAC right now loses over $2.5 million a year, has done so since 1997. So there's something wrong there. We can also have a convention center to take advantage of the current reluctance to go to the United States, take advantage of Square One shopping, take advantage of all the things we want to build in the city center. Why can't that convention center include a spectacular hotel that will attract business travelers and increase our revenues from the municipal accommodation tax? Our city center can and should be spectacular. A bold vision built Mississauga. A bold vision can make us an even greater city for the future. In closing, I want to thank the Mississauga Board of Trade, who have always been excellent partners. And I think they like the city center plan, so you could just keep pushing for us. Your creativity, your approach, and your investments are getting us noticed. This year, Forbes once again ranked the City of Mississauga as one of Canada's best employers. In fact, we are one of the top 45 employers across the country. We are proud of this recognition, and we won't stop there. Our vision must continue to be broad and bold. There's so much more we can accomplish to make the people and businesses of Mississauga more spectacular. Last summer, we were ranked in 2 polls as the happiest city in Canada. I may be the happiest person in this room right now because I'm on the last page. I love it when people come over to me and say, "Carolyn, don't worry about it. You're always so good." I know I'm not good. And when you tell me that, it means you expect me to be good. You have to lower your expectations. I do shitty speeches. Anyway, this is a testament to the work of everyone in this room, keeping our city a vibrant, exciting, caring, ambitious, and family-friendly city. I want to thank you for the opportunity. Not really. I hate being up here. I want to thank my colleagues on council once again. They've been super fantastic. I want to thank our staff, particularly our senior staff, who are the best front row team you could ever imagine. And I want to thank everybody in this room for having us here today. And it's over, and I can go home now and tuck myself into bed with my 2 bulldogs and just rest. Being the mayor, quite seriously, has been the highlight of my career, and I've been around a while. This has been a fantastic job, and looking forward to doing more fantastic things. Thank you.
Well, Mayor, so many wonderful things that you talked about, and I know there's a few of them that are near and dear to your heart. I did a little research on the LAC redevelopment. So to put it in perspective, because we think about Toronto and Metro Convention Center and how big that is. So to put it in perspective, the new development, the convention center, is going to be 500,000 square feet. Right. The Metro Convention Center is only 800,000 square feet. We're putting in 1,500 parking stalls. Metro Convention Center only has 3,000. And they have to service all the other things that are going on around it. So this is no small task. This is no small development. This is a massive, massive undertaking. And I've seen it. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen the presentation that Andrew and his team put together, take a look at it. It's going to be spectacular. Now, for the cost, who's paying for this thing?
That's a darn good question. Everybody keeps saying it's going to be a $2.5 billion construction. Cities do not build hotels. There's going to be a 40-story hotel. Hotel builders build hotels. We don't build apartment buildings. And we want to put, because we're going to have a really spectacular music center with Metalworks running a school in there, We want an apartment building built that's going to have 40 units, little tiny units, self-contained little units for about $300 a month for new artists, new people on the music scene, new people on the art scene, new people in dance, because we are supposed to be a music city. So we don't build apartment buildings. We also don't build office buildings, and there's an office building in it. So if you look at the $2.5 billion, the taxpayers will only be on the hook for the music center. And I've already been promised by Mr. Ford. He and I are really best buddies. Apparently, a previous mayor used to fight with him a lot. I do not fight with the man. He's got the money, and I also quite like him. So he's promised us, through Stan Cho, the Minister of Tourism and so forth, that he will give us a substantial grant for the music center. And also the feds are looking for places to put some money. So our responsibility will be the music center. That's it. So when you read 2.5 million, it's not 2.5 million tax dollars. It's very much less than that.
What are we looking at as far as timeline for this particular project? Because we know it's just been unveiled to council. It looks fantastic. There's a lot of steps that need to go through this. What's the timeline before we can sit in that beautiful culture center and enjoy the first concert?
Well, I don't know if I'm still going to be here, but I would suggest we're at the stage where we're really contemplating a visionary statement. We haven't put pen to paper other than the sketches you've seen. So we now have to go into the hard part, which is getting the designs done and then consulting with the public. We need to talk to all the people that live close to the building and people who live far and away in the city and find out what they would like to see. Then we try to incorporate all of it into our final designs. So in answer to your question, I think the first thing you'll see will be the music center. And we'll keep the LAC in place until that's up and running so we don't lose the Mississauga Symphony Orchestra and other people who are renting there. Then we tear that little sucker down because it's losing $3 to $4 million a year right now. And you don't really see it all because some of it's landscaping and all the things that get folded into other departments. So it's a great toll on us. It's been open since '97 and it's lost money every single year.
Right.
So we want to get the music center done, take that down. We've got 12 acres that the taxpayer owns in the city center, and we can contribute the land, and we're hoping others will come in and build the other buildings. So I would say you'll see the music center, if everything goes well, probably 2028, and after that, a little piece at a time.
2028, you'll still be mayor then. So
hope so.
We'll go together. Maybe we'll sit in the front row together. Jeff, this is a question about two-way all-day go. If we could have gone back in time, we would have made that stretch through Streetsville. It would have been 4 tracks, 6 tracks, who knows how many tracks it would have been. Two-way all-day go is very important to the businesses up there. It's important to the residents up there to move back and forth. Can you give us an update on two-way all-day go? Where are we on this file?
Yeah, thanks, and a great question. And you've pointed out a lot of the benefits that two-way all-day GO service would provide to Mississauga. So Metrolinx is working on a broad GO expansion program where they're looking at all their GO rail corridors and looking to expand service on their existing lines, like the Lakeshore line, which is 30 minutes. It does have all-day two-way service today, but they're trying to get that up to 15-minute service through an electrification program. That's a very long program that is underway, but there's no time frame of when that's going to happen along that area. We've been advocating to both the province and the federal government to support two-way all-day GO service on the Milton line for the benefits that you've mentioned. There's economic benefits, significant economic benefits to the businesses and employers that are along that corridor. Plus, it will unlock a lot of opportunities for new housing along that corridor. And really, in my opinion, Mississauga has always been a strong employer, and we have more labor coming into Mississauga than going out of Mississauga. But really, with that expansion and enhancements to the GO rail network, really puts Mississauga as a regional employer as part of the broader region that we're in. So it really kind of unlocks more opportunity for people to get to work and people to get to Mississauga.
So where's the sticking point? Because the mayor just said she's got the Premier's cell phone number. Just call up the Premier. He runs Metrolinx. Tell him to get on it and get us two-way all-day go. It's not that simple, I know. What's the sticking point, Jeff?
Yeah, so right now that corridor is a shared freight corridor. And so part of the challenge right now is coming up with a solution for the freight traffic on the GO Milton line. And once that solution is, accommodated for, then the province can expand GO service on that corridor. So it's really working with the rail authorities to manage that program. And a couple of years ago, we were very strong in advocating for what was called the missing link, which was going to sort of put a freight bypass across northern Mississauga. We've heard since then that Metrolinx does have different plans to accommodate freight. So we're interested in hearing what those plans are, and we continue, and the mayor continues to advocate to the province and myself to Metrolinx about what the status of those plans are. And as soon as we have information that we can share, we'll be providing that out in terms of what the next steps are.
I wonder if it has anything to do with that new highway. That's
The 413?
The 413 that's going through. Maybe not. Let's talk about housing. Near and dear to your heart. We're very excited to be part of that advocacy work with the city on the housing. Sometimes businesses don't get it, why housing is important, why childcare is important in the city of Mississauga. We know attainable housing, which I love that term. It's a move from affordable housing to attainable housing. Why is it important for businesses to get behind this movement as well?
Well, I think it's really important because if people are sufficiently housed, then you don't need the food banks operating at the rate they are right now. But you also have more people staying in our city, and you have more students graduating out of the universities that are an excellent source of employees. But having people housed correctly and affordably is, to me, one of the most essential problems today. In every survey you look at, you ask people what's your biggest concern, and it's partially because it's been so well publicized, but in fact it is a massive shortage. And when we cut the DCs 50% and on affordable apartments with more than two bedrooms or three bedrooms that are good for families, there are no development charges. And you say, well, where are you getting the money that you need for that? We're getting it from the Housing Accelerator Fund from the feds. They brought that in a year and a half ago, so we've received 3 checks for $28 million, one last week. And that is at this point, and Andrew could correct me if he waves his arm, but I think we're getting enough money in from that to make up for the lost revenue on the development charges. So a lot of the developers who are building condominiums, which is a dead market right now, they're bringing in their plans and converting them over to rental buildings. Rental buildings are good starter buildings for young people. They're good starter buildings for young families. So the more rent, and we had a very short supply of rental buildings here. All these things are really significant, and they're all clicking in place. And I have to thank Andrew. I joked about his request, you want 100% of nothing or 50% of something. That only worked because of the Housing Accelerator plan that we have to thank the feds for. I don't know what the new plans are going to look like. I keep hearing about them, but I haven't seen any results yet. We haven't been invited to submit anything. But we also have Mattamy in Mississauga, who are currently building 2 plants right on the border of Mississauga to do prefab apartments pieces. One is all cabinetry and the other is the actual structure. And they'll be moving down on trucks into areas that they own and building 6 and 8-story buildings out of them. So these are all the innovative things we're doing here in Mississauga. And I'm guessing if we can hit our 10,000 units by the end of this year, we will also get a big fat check from the province. So what we're doing is not only investing in housing, not only making it affordable, but we are also getting paid back by the 2 levels of government.
I would, if I may digress for a moment, I want to tell a little story. Yes, please. You're very good at liberating funds from the federal government and the province. Thank you, Mayor, for doing that for us. I want to tell a little story, and it's a compliment to Jeff Wright. I'm going to take him back in history for just a couple of moments. But for anyone in the room that thinks that City Hall does not listen to people, I want to tell you this story. Jeff, I'm going to take you back to a lunch that we had around Square One a few years ago. Councillor Butt, who was the Vice President of Government Relations for the Board of Trade, Jeff and I were sitting there. We didn't have a particular agenda going on, but we started talking about an express route from Square One to the airport. And the server that was listening to us overheard us. He said, hey, you know, that would be great because I work 2 jobs. I need to get from Square One up to the airport in a very timely manner. So we started talking about it a little bit more. And of course, there's a lot of due diligence that has to go into it and a lot of work that goes behind it. But I think it was 2 years later, Jeff, Route 101 was launched. And that was an express route that started at Winston Churchill, came to Square One, went to the airport. Big shout out to Pearson, who supplied a ton of information on that project. So City Hall does listen. It can be done. It doesn't happen overnight, and you need to collaborate with others to make it happen. So I tell you that story to ask Jeff another question. So we've got other transit projects going on in the city, namely the project along Dundas and how that's going. So I'm not sure which one of you would like to take that question on the Dundas route.
Happy to do that. So just maybe a bit of background. So yes, we're in the process of building some, pretty fundamental city building transit projects. And the mayor in her presentation earlier talked about the Hazel-McCallion line, which, the commitments we have from the province is that will be opening in 2028. But, we'll be watching that space, and, as that evolves, we'll be updating. But Dundas is another sort of major transit corridor that we are getting funding from the federal government on, and we're delivering that project basically from Huron-Ontario, just west of Huron-Ontario, to the east Mississauga border, connecting into Kipling Subway. And that's a dedicated center median busway. And we're in the design phase of that right now. And once we'll be getting into probably early construction works in 2027, so about a year from now. And there's going to be different phases of construction along the Dundas corridor, ultimately completion in around, I'd say probably 2031, 2032 area. So there'll be major works underway on that corridor. And that corridor, was a joint study that we did to look at not only from a transportation capacity perspective in terms of what was warranted, but also from a planning perspective in terms of, what housing opportunities, and we want to align our housing and our transportation policies together to really create that transit-oriented city that we're really trying to aspire to.
Mayor, let's talk about the new hospital project, the Peter Gilgan Hospital. I know that Mr. Gilgan has been very generous with his funds for the healthcare system. I know that his cottage is somewhere in the Bracebridge area, because I went to the Bracebridge Hospital one time for an MRI, and they have every piece of equipment in there, and his name's on the building. So I know that it's up there somewhere, just not sure where it is. Let's talk about the new hospital that is slated for Mississauga. Are we getting ahead of the game now, or are we still lagging as far as hospital space? Like, how are the Trillium hospitals doing? Are we at capacity? Are we going to be at a point where this new hospital's arriving in time or ahead of time, so so that people don't have to wait for health care?
First of all, I have to give a shout out to Carly Farrow, who is the CEO of Trillium. She's doing a fantastic job. The planning that has gone into the Trillium expansion and the Peter Gilgan Hospital, Shaw Family Women and Children's Hospital, will more than make up the space we need, and there'll be extra space. It's actually going to be a hospital that's going to have a pediatric specialty wing, which we've needed for years, so you don't have to send kids in helicopters down to Sick Kids Hospital. The capacity is going to be greater than what we need when it's first finished, and it will keep up with the population. It's going to be the largest hospital, largest teaching hospital in Canada. So that is a feather in our cap. I think it's because the hospital system runs so well in Mississauga. And I've just had a knee replaced, ergo the careful coming up and down the stairs. But the care that you get when you really have a problem is incredible. Lots of people complain about hospitals and they say, oh, I'm sitting in Emerge for 3 hours, and it finds out you got a cut finger. So they're first class. They're pretty amazing. And Peter Gilgan also, I sent him a letter on behalf of Hospice Mississauga about 2 months ago. And I said, there's an outpatient consulting they do. If there's a mom that's dying of cancer, if there's a family member, they go and work with the children and they take them into hospice and they do this work with them. So the program needed $1 million to run for the year. So I sent him a letter, and about 4 weeks later, the $1 million arrived at Hospice Mississauga. So he's an incredible man. As long as you are hitting one of his 5 categories. But if you drive along the Queensway, you will see this massive wall of solid wood that's up. And it's to take all the heavy trucks that are taking soil out and bringing equipment in off of the Queensway. They're all in the side. And it is the most amazing construction I've ever seen, and it's operating beautifully. Somebody told me the other day 26,000 truckloads of earth have been taken out of the excavation, and it's almost completed. Now, I live very close to there. One day there's a parking structure, a couple of weeks later it's gone. A couple of weeks after that, there's a whole new parking structure behind it. The efficiency there is amazing. Jeff, we have to kind of follow them around and see how they do that. But the excavation for the new wing is almost completed. So they are moving very quickly, very efficiently, and I'm really proud that Mississauga will be having the largest teaching hospital in Canada.
Let's talk about city budgets and the pressure that city budgets are under, and I'm pretty sure both of you are going to weigh in on this one. We know that there's a lot of downloading that's coming from the province, a lot of things that the region is asking municipalities to take care of as well. When it comes to those pressures, and I know, Mayor, you've been very good at squeezing out every ounce of service that we can get for our dollar, and it sounds like Councillor Hornick's on the bandwagon now too, on doing that. How do you balance that? Like, how do you because people want services, but they don't want to pay big taxes. And somewhere in the middle is that delicate balance. How do you balance that?
Well, you work with the staff who do an incredible job. We asked our city manager to get every department to trim 2% off their budgets for this year because we had a bad one last year. And that was because of the downloading of the huge police budget, which nobody could stop. It's the Police Services Board that makes those decisions. So we had a tough year last year. We said, no, we can't keep doing it this year because people are literally hungry, going to food banks for their daily groceries. So we asked every department in the building to take off 2%. I think you ended up taking off 2.3. So that gave us some space. The other thing we did was we delayed our 1% surcharge to repair and bring up to speed all our fire stations. We delayed it for 1 year, continuing the work that was already started, and we'll put that back on. So you do a little bit of juggling here and there, and it seems to work out. One of the things we did do this past year, is we gave free admissions to all our 65-plus seniors to the community centers. There's nobody there during the day anyway. That's when they go in. They make friends, they chat with people, they exercise, and they socialize. So it's a valuable service for them, and it's really not costing the city anything. So that's one thing we did. We also gave them free access to transit, so they can get there safely and not crash their cars into the parking lots. My mother did that once. And the other thing is, which has been really important with an aging population, is we brought in windrow clearance. That's that mountain of ice at the end of your driveway. And of all things, Mother Nature cooperated this year and snowed the heck out of us. So everywhere I go, little tiny older people clutch me and hug me. Thank you for the windrow clearance. And we also got sidewalk clearance, which is mandated by the province, and we just haven't been doing it until this year. So we were able to put in what we thought were a high priority service. We were also able to cut back on things. We were also able to delay things. And even the hospital levy that we're supposed to pay, I negotiated with Mr. Ford in the basement of his house while he was making coffee, and George Carlson was out the back chopping wood for his wet fireplace. I negotiated us from $450 million down to $390, which he agreed to. So we're constantly worrying about what we're charging the taxpayers. And Jeff has to take a lot of credit for what we did this year.
Yeah, maybe I'll just add to that, in addition to what Mayor Parrish has said. Yeah, municipalities are under a lot of pressure to do more with less, and that's something that we've really struggled with, and how to bring in a balanced budget and still deliver the critical services that residents want to see. And, you know, I guess guiding our financial plans is a long-term financial strategy that Mississauga Council recently approved, another 10-year long-range financial plan for us, and that really sets a number of guiding principles for us in terms of debt policy, in terms of managing the amount of money that we borrow to meet these needs, to make sure that we're not over-leveraged and ensuring that we have money to pay back that debt. You know, we have infrastructure levies that we've put in place to manage some of our critical services, fire services being one of them. We're almost through the fire services build-out, which is very good, but we also have an infrastructure levy, and we've set up a stormwater charge back over 10 years ago. But it's also working with partners as well, and the mayor's been a great advocate for the city in terms of getting funding from the province, getting funding from the federal government that are needed to deliver infrastructure on our core services. We also get provincial operating grants to fund things like transit services in Mississauga, and it's making sure that while we're delivering the key services, we are also investing in critical infrastructure. So we're investing in transit, we're investing in fire services, we're investing in the things that people want, and also making sure that we're doing that responsibly. So I think it's a good balance we have with council in overseeing the process, but also you know, that staff have the long-range financial strategy in place.
And I like to add too, and it's not because the region has a full court press over here, but the way the system has been set up 50 years ago was everything was based on MPAC evaluations of our buildings. And if you look around Brampton and you look around our skyline, you'll see we have 60 Fortune 500 companies with head offices here. So their real estate is valuable. So we are paying almost 60% of every bill that goes through the region. It's not their fault. That's the way it was set up 50 years ago. So we are trying very hard, a piece at a time, because Hazel tried to break away Mississauga from the region. Bonnie got close. I'm more likely to keep taking the puzzle pieces that we need, like the 30 million we're subsidizing Caledon roads while their property taxes are half what ours are. So it's not the region's fault. And they have been super cooperative. When we ask for reports, show us how much this can save, show us this. They've been very good. So Gary, thank you. I just don't want them to think that I'm criticizing the region at all. It's the way it was set up, but they have been super cooperative in letting us research where we can take pieces back to Mississauga and reduce our taxes here.
And of course, no slight against your CFO, Marissa, but of course, the city's loss was the region's gain when Gary Kent went up to the region as well. So, and I'm sure there's still fingerprints all over the city of Mississauga for Mr. Kent as well. We're going to do a little poll, Mayor, with your permission, and this is as we get ready to take questions from the floor. There's a couple of microphones set up here, so if you'd like to ask the mayor or the CAO a question, you can start making your way up there. Marissa, this is for you. How many people read the city budget cover to cover, all 338 pages? Put your hand up if you read it.
Hey,
Marissa, you better put your hand up, okay?
The councillors better put their hands up.
Okay. How many people did not read it? How many people are never going to put their hand up no matter what question I ask you? Did I get it right, Marissa? It's 338 pages, somewhere in there. It's an extensive document. So if you think that this thing is just slapped together, because it goes to council, a couple of months before it's approved, there is as a matter of fact, I think you start now. you start now.
Yeah, it's a continual process. So, you know, the 2026 budget was approved recently, and we're back into looking at the 2027 budget already. And in fact, we've had meetings already talking about a very high level in terms of, you know, what are the pressures we're facing for next year, and how do we sort of manage those pressures. So yeah, it's a continual process.
So I read the budget in anticipation of the city CFO coming. The region is not off the hook. I've got your budget in front of me. I'm reading it this weekend because the region is coming to present to our policy committee. Do we have anybody at the microphone yet? Does anybody have a question for the mayor or the CAO? You two might get off lucky today.
I've been tortured enough.
You absolutely have. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a nice round of applause for the mayor and the CAO.
Quick thank you speech before we wrap up tonight. Just a quick thank you to the Mississauga Board of Trade, all of the staff and leadership for putting on a fantastic event today. Thank you to Mayor Parrish and Jeff for your insights today. You know, I think we've seen that you have a thriving economy here in Mississauga, and that depends on energy systems that are reliable, affordable, and built to perform. And at Enbridge Gas, we see firsthand how it is foundational for that success. We saw clearly over the past year with the deep freeze that it wasn't ideology that kept us warm, that kept hospitals running, businesses operating, and essential services online. It was reliable infrastructure. In Ontario, natural gas infrastructure is doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. Affordability and reliability are drivers of business competitiveness. And as their city grows, businesses need confidence that the energy infrastructure is in place so that you can focus on what you do best, and that's growing and investing. An example of this in action is a local pipeline infrastructure expansion project, which is breaking ground in the coming months. And it's going to see industrial customers who provide hundreds of high-paying jobs, stable jobs in this community, and they're going to be expanding and decarbonizing operations as natural gas is critical to these efforts. When energy is affordable and reliable, communities thrive, jobs grow, families feel secure, and economies stay strong. We're proud to serve 200,000 customers here in Mississauga and over 370,000 here in Peel Region. We value the partnerships we have with the city, as well as with the Board of Trade, and we look forward to many more years of success together. Thank you for your patience.